hearing his insight into what was going on, and then being able to add to that, and have Greg add to that, and Shirley, and all of us, just that I love that process. Because it's synergy, it's more than the sum of the parts. You hear from other people, it's that creative dance, and when it gets going, it's really neat. Yeah.
We're almost out of time, but we'll try to take a couple of questions here from the audience. Does anybody have a question about Prisoners of Gravity, or maybe even?
I just wanted to comment that, so one of the things I found really great about Prisoners of Gravity is that you get to put faces to all of these writers. You get to see all these. That's what Bruce Sterling looks like. That's what Larry Niven looks like. Whatever. And I found out that was really interesting because before they were just these names on my shelf. So yeah, I said that was the best part of the show for me.
Yeah, very good. And you got to see their passion and their
exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to say, you guys said something yesterday about, because I wanted to know how do we get Prisoners of Gravity back on Space, and you said send them an email.
Yeah, I would say, I think that's the place to go.
Just say Prisoners of Gravity, I want to see it.
Start a petition.
Yeah.
Start one of those email petitions and send it off to the Space Channel, and I'm sure enough names and enough.
Yeah, because there's some episodes that do not age well. But
they could choose.
Yeah, but there's a good 30 to 40 that stand the test of time, and especially now that everybody knows Watchmen, and everybody, or Neil Gaiman is a household name. To see him as this kid, young guy starting out, and it's very interesting.
It sounds like there's lots of them that you got them either early in their career or mid-career or something that no one remembers. But how cool is that?
Yeah. Well, and to get Will Eisner and Jack Kirby and some of the other people like that. Stan Lee is fairly good at self-promotion. Most people have seen or heard him somewhere in a movie or somewhere on TV. But it was nice to sell. That was the other thing that was moving for me was I didn't know these people. Like Kirby was was a name I vaguely knew, and Eisner vaguely knew, but to Mark, these were gods to him. So to catch Mark's passion for who these people were, and then to hear them speak about what they did, and in such a gentle way to have Jack Kirby talking about his stuff and Will Eisner. Well, we never realized we were just doing what we did, and you can see that even now in the people with modern. It's like they're doing what they love doing.
Any other questions?
Who owns Prisoners of Gravity? Is it possible for you to do more or to do Prisoners of Gravity in the next generation?
That's a good question. So the first one is who owns it. I guess TV Ontario owns it. So Space, when they ran it the first time, they bought it from TV Ontario. Is it possible to do more? I don't know that it is now because it's such a big business. Sure, it's possible. It's difficult because I don't know that you can do the same thing, because when you get people on, they'd be wanting to promote, they'd be so slickly packaged now that they'd be really on message. People are trained now, and to get we weren't really that interested in just promoting a new book or a new movie. We were interested in the history. We were trying to do the definitive episode on whatever it would be, like comic book violence or a comic book page layout and cover art, and make it a serious lesson. That's just harder to do these days. What they want is, and here she is, the star of, and she's also this, what is easier to sell now is Entertainment Tonight or Extra or whatever. But to do just thoughtful would be difficult. If I went in and said we're going to have writers competing and then we voted off artists, then they're interested. If it's a war, if there's conflict, if there's some sort of loser, this is, to my mind, is all the leftover here of the started with Reagan and continues in American cultures, that it's a competition. The belief that evolution is survival of the fittest means survival of the strongest, rather than fit, as in fitting in, as in. That's why every time I see one of these movies where there's a barren planet with a race on it, it's like, and what do they eat? And where did they get that clothing? And where did they get the metal to make those guns? And where did they, do you know what it takes? Do you know how much land it takes to feed an army of orcs? Do you know how many farmers you got to have in the food processing and you can't, no, I kill myself laughing at this. So, but anyway. So I don't know that you could today do the same thing, because they, you know, when they're interviewed, they have their Harry Potter poster, and they've got their own message with the 3 things they want to say. And it's, even now, today, it would be hard necessarily to get, I don't know, the access to the streamers, because that's who I'm interested in, is the writers, the directors, the set designer, the people. I mean, I not to disrespect actors, but they move on to other jobs. The person who wrote this, it's there, and they tore it out of themselves. And the people who directed it, especially if they're in it or illustrated it, they're in this full time, it's their life, you know.
All right, that's pretty much about our time. Rick's got a table in the back corner of the, in the vendor's room there. He's going to be signing for about the next half hour or so until I bring him some lunch. So, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. My son sent me a text this morning and said, how's the Comic-Con? I said, it's great. It's just friendly, it's small, it's likable, it's kind of like a holiday. He sent me back and said, cool.